Hi, I'm Jim Riley. Welcome to Hometown Spotlight. I have a special guest today, Stephen Hoare, publisher of Black Dome Press.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming. Black Dome Press is legendary in these parts for the things that you produce. Tell us a little bit about Black Dome Press, a little background, then how you got to be the publisher.
Okay, well, Black Dome Press was started by a woman named Deborah Allen in 1990. So we're rapidly approaching our 30th anniversary of publishing books. In that time, we have probably published close to 100 different titles.
Right.
We're a regional press, which basically means that we publish books of interest to the region that we are in.
Right.
It started out, we had our focus on the Hudson Valley and the Catskill Mountains.
Right.
We gradually, over the years, expanded that focus to include the Capital Region, Lake George, Lake Champlain.
And it makes sense, just extend it out. Yeah.
But it's one of the great things about being a regional publisher in this region is that there's never an end of topics to cover.
It's a wealth of topics and subjects.
Yeah, there's
both. And we'll get into that a little later. Mm-hmm. But I kind of like it because every time I look at that, in fact, I tell you this, I had an appointment the other day, did a little blood test thing, and the guy had one of your books.
Oh, really? Good.
On the table, yeah, because it has that kind of draw. And now, especially with people moving up out of the city, you must really get into that.
There's a steady, unfortunately rather small, but a steady demand for the books. And I probably get 30, 40 ideas, submissions every year. I can only publish anywhere from 2 to 3 a year.
Right.
So I have to reject most of them, but there are a lot of good topics out there.
Right. Now, you ship also around the country, around the world?
We do, yeah. Most of our out-of-the-area distribution, frankly, is probably done by Amazon.
Right.
People can find my website. I do have a nice little website, but people looking online for books, they go right to Amazon.
Right. And you're there.
Oh yeah,
you have a presence there.
Yeah, all of the books are there. They're my best customer.
Yeah,
I mean, I love the local bookstores, the local historical society.
Well, I think you have to be a part of that, don't you think?
I think
both for their benefit and yours.
I don't think I could survive without Amazon at this point. It would be tough.
Yeah, and Amazon doesn't have all the fans in the world, but I have to tell you, whenever you do business with them, it works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If I want to buy one of your books, I'm going to go on to Amazon. I'm going to get the book. I'm going to be able to pay for the book. It really does make your life.
I'd rather you went to Spotty Dog, but
right, yeah. And a local bookstore certainly. That's here in Hudson.
Right here in Hudson.
Right here in Hudson. We want to promote Hudson as well.
Good books and good beer.
Yep. I'm just looking at our producer because we were just talking about we like the craft beers, we like the local beers, that kind of thing. So you've been with them right from the start, or how did you get
almost. I started in 1993, and I started as a couple of days a week doing kind of a medley of things, and over the years I became the editor for the company. And by the time I bought the company in 2011, I was basically had my hands in all aspects of the business. I was doing good portion of the selling, the distribution, the marketing.
Right.
It was all under the direction of Deborah Allen, who did a great job with marketing.
But she's a pretty smart lady, and she probably entrusted you with a lot of those activities, which means you didn't have to learn it later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a great learning experience. I was an English major in college.
Right.
But usually there isn't too much you can do with that unless you become a teacher.
Right.
And I hadn't really considered publishing before Deborah Allen approached me and said, "Would you like to work for me?"
Right.
And so it gradually became full-time over the years. She decided to retire in 2011, even though she's quite a bit younger than I am.
Right.
By 5 months, I think. And,
no, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
I bought my job.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
And I've been able to keep it going in pretty trying circumstances. The publishing industry is going through a lot of changes.
A lot of changes.
When I started working for Black Dome in 1993, there were probably, I was thinking of this on the way here, there were probably 7 or 8 other regional publishers in our region. Mm-hmm. One in Albany, one in Saugerties, Fleischmann's, Woodstock, and Utica. And most of those, to my knowledge, are still somewhat present still, but
Right.
kind of fading away
Yeah.
quickly. It's changed a lot. It's a different world now.
Yeah, what I like is that you had the background coming in. A lot of times when you take over a business, I mean, we get ambitious. We say, oh yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to, and you get in, and then you have to figure it out. But you had all that prep ahead of time.
Yeah.
Made a lot smoother transition, didn't it?
It helped a lot, and Debbie Allen did a great job. She really brought high production standards to the local book business. Really, before she started Black Dome Press, most local books looked like they had been amateurishly put together.
You did it in your basement or something.
And
yeah.
she always believed in hiring a professional book designer to make the book a nice package. She was always very strict about vetting all of the books, making sure that
Make sure they were valid, solid,
as reliable and factually correct as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So I learned from her the way she did it, and my belief is if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Don't fix it.
I've pretty much carried on the company the way she ran it.
Yeah. You look happy with it too.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you see, that's the thing. If you can do what you love, like you said, it's not like it's a walk in the park, but you don't come to work aggravated every day. You have those challenges.
Sometimes.
Well, yeah, but that's because you're human.
Not every day, but
I was gonna say, but that's because you're human. But I think when you really have that passion and you love doing it, it's something you can be proud of and enjoy at the same time.
Yeah, it's good that there are rewards. I mean, if you have a job that you go to every day and you make very good money, that's a reward, of course.
Yeah.
But even if you make a modest amount of money, if you're enjoying what you're doing, and there are rewards other than just monetary.
Right.
You feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
I feel like by bringing some of these books in print that maybe nobody else would have published.
Right, they wouldn't be there for the
I've
people.
helped preserve some of the culture of the area.
Yeah. Let's do a little tour.
Sure.
Because I'm looking at the camera. I know they love us and we're really doing good stuff. Give us a little tour of some of the books you brought with us today.
Sure.
Give us a little background.
Okay, just to give you an idea of the range of topics that are available in our region for local books, this is the first book that Debbie Allen published before I started working for her, and I think she published that in 1991. It was a reprint. It was originally published by Rutgers, and it still remains. Right now, unfortunately, it's out of stock. I hope to bring it back one day, but it's still, I would say, the best overall book on the history of the Catskills.
Right.
And it really, it shows how in the persona, if you will, of one famous hotel called the Catskill Mountain House, it kind of embodied the whole romantic spirit of that era. And it became a focal point for the Hudson River School artists.
Right.
And unfortunately, it was burned by the state. And
that's part of the Olana deal, and the college was established.
1961, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Since we're in Hudson, I brought a couple of our Hudson books.
Good.
Diamond Street was one of our first big smash hits.
Right.
We had
Now, Diamond Street is Columbia Street?
It's now Columbia Street.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was formerly, had a row of houses of ill repute that were pretty legendary up and down the East Coast,
Right.
and was finally shut down in 1950 or 1951. Governor Dewey staged a state police raid.
Right.
Came down the first, I love this part of the story, the first thing they did when the state police rolled into town, they surrounded the Hudson police station and wouldn't let anybody go in or come out because they didn't want the people to be tipped off.
Right.
So that's very lively local history. And then we have on the other side of the coin, we have Historic Hudson, an architectural guide to the city of Hudson, and Hudson's current rebirth, which is still ongoing and quite extraordinary, largely came about because it's its historic architecture was intact.
Yeah, it's
particularly along Warren Street. It hadn't gone through urban renewal.
Right.
So people started coming up mostly from Manhattan and the city, and they saw all these extraordinary buildings, all these beautiful buildings, a lot of them vacant, many of them in disrepair, but they could buy them for a song.
Oh, yeah.
And one came, one fixed up a building, then another one came and fixed up a building.
Yeah, it's been some major growth.
It's still spreading throughout the city.
It is, yeah.
So we have our illicit history, we have our architectural history. Some sad history is covered in our book, In Defiance, Runaways from Slavery in New York's Hudson River Valley. This book is a collection of runaway slave notices published by Hudson Valley slave owners,
right.
Trying to get their escaped slaves back. My authors found over 500 such notices.
Right.
We tend to be a little smug up in the north and think that slavery was something that was really
somewhere else, down in the south, and
a
we were
southern
involved
problem.
in it.
But that just shows the scale of slavery in the Hudson Valley. And it went right up until the early 1830s.
Right.
30 years before the Civil War. And an interesting fact that I didn't know, but at the first census in 1791, guess which city was the second largest slave-holding city after Charleston, South Carolina?
Not Hudson.
Not Hudson, fortunately, New York City.
Wow.
And,
that's amazing.
Yeah. And Albany County, which was bigger then than it is now, Albany County held more slaves than New York City.
Wow.
So it was widespread, it was pervasive, maybe mostly not as nasty as plantation slavery in the South. Most households only had 1 or 2 slaves.
Right.
But
the reality is it was here.
They were here.
Yeah.
They were here. This is one of my favorite books that I published, and it shows, I think, more than any other book, the wealth of history in our region. This is a book about one street in Kingston, called Chestnut Street. And the author of that book lived on the street and just started house by house researching who lived there. Basically, it encapsulates the whole history of the Hudson River Valley. And what originally intrigued me about the book when it was submitted to me was the title. Yeah. The Street That Built the City. Great advertising ploy on the author's part. I had to find out what he meant by that. And what he meant by that is that on this one street lived the person who was the king of the towing business on the Hudson.
Right. Yeah.
He also had a lot of other industries. He was the Donald Trump of his time, living on Chestnut Street in Kingston. And also on that street were 7 brickyard owners.
Oh yeah, the brickyard, big up along the Hudson River,
and the products that street produced and shipped down to New York City built the city. Bluestone, the brickyards. But there was also a lot of social history too. Also living on the street was one of the finest but little known Hudson River School artists, Jervis McEntee. Right. Very talented artist. His studio was built by his good friend and brother-in-law, Calvert Vaux, who helped design Central Park in New York City, and as well as a number of other parks and extraordinary buildings. John Wilkes Booth's brother lived there for a time. He was also friends with not only Vaux, but with Jervis McEntee. It's a fascinating book. Yeah. And it's all on one, maybe 4-block long street in one small city in the Hudson Valley. So you go anywhere in the valley and you scratch the surface, you find fascinating history.
Yeah. I want to ask you about something in the camera. You ever see such joy come to somebody's face as he described the works that he's involved in? But that is the richness of our community.
Yeah. It's
fabulous.
Fun. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to close things now.
Okay.
But I do, first of all, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us today.
I'm glad to.
Now, tell us, Black Don't Press, look at the camera, tell them your website.
Oh, the website, easy to find. It's blackdomepress.com, BLACKDOME press.com. It's named after Black Dome Mountain, which is part of the Thomas Cole Range in near Wyndham.
Right. Stephen Hoare, publisher of Black Dome Press. It was a joy to be with you. Always good to see
Thanks,
you.
Jim.
Thanks for stopping in to see
Okay,
us.
and thank you.
We'll be right back after a few words.
If you're having problems with your high-speed internet, we're here to help. Slow internet could be caused by a number of issues, such as too many connected devices, your router location, loose wires, or even interference from other appliances. Give Mid-Hudson Cable a call today, and we can help locate the problem and repair it to get you back to having the fastest internet possible.
Hi, welcome back again. Jim Riley, Hometown Spotlight. I almost forgot the name of the show. Hometown Spotlight. We have some older,
We could have told you that, Jim.
yeah, we have some older dear friends with us today from Bridge Street Theater. John Sowle. What's your title? I forgot. King, Emperor?
Yes.
No, artistic and managing director.
Director.
Yes, right.
And Stephen Patterson. I zoned out. I almost lost.
Hey, we're relatively interchangeable, so you know.
That's true. Yeah,
and
because
John Sowle too.
yeah, I do have to say you're acting.
Oh, thank you,
You know,
Jim.
I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Give us a little update on Bridge Street Theater and what's going on.
Oh my goodness! Well, we are in our 6th season right now. We just
Amazing.
Yes, amazing. It is amazing. We bought this building in 2013 and moved into it right away. Did some stuff. Stephen did a list of all the stuff we've done up to the beginning of 2019. We've done 155 shows in the theater in 5 years.
Incredible.
And that's not performances. That's actual different shows. So anyway, we're in our 6th season, and we just started with a world premiere of a play by a guy named David Zelnick, called The Letters. A really beautiful play. We hope it goes on. 4 actors in a
Very diverse cast.
A very diverse cast in a very complicated relationship with each other. Very intriguing. So that's great. That's done. Right now we just started rehearsals for The Moors.
Right. I saw the sign. That's actually Bridge Street Theater. Signs out there that kind of tells you what's happening. So tell us about The Moors.
The Moors is a play, and Tracy Liz Miller is directing it. And we'll be talking
We're going to talk to her a little later.
We're going to talk to her a little bit later.
Okay.
So I don't want to say too much about it. We'll get to it then. But it's a play written by a woman named Jen Silverman. It's 6 women and 1 man. The man is playing a mastiff. There's also a moorhen. Which
Who's the character?
Which you may not know, but they're rather British or English birds. But anyway, there's a moorhen.
They don't look like chickens.
They don't look like chickens.
Not chickens.
No, very strange. And of course, well, in the conceit of the play, she doesn't look like a chicken either. She looks like a person. And the mastiff also looks mostly like a person. But it's a really intriguing piece.
Good.
So we're
Sort of a
looking forward to it.
postmodern mashup of Emily Bronte and Samuel Beckett.
Okay, that's a challenge.
Getting the tone right is that's Tracy's job.
And I would say that is a challenge. The other thing that I like, though, is the variety of what you do.
Right, sure, yes. And the next one is really different for us, although we're familiar with it, but we're doing our first musical.
Oh.
And it's called The Shags, Philosophy of the World. You ever heard of The Shags?
Now, is that the dance from down south
No,
along the coast?
no.
Okay. All right. Okay.
This is a girl group.
It's
a play by a woman named Joey Gregory with music by Gunnar Matson, who founded the Bobs in San Francisco.
Okay.
A cappella music group.
Okay.
Stephen was in the world premiere performance of that
in Los Angeles back in 2003.
He can talk about The Shags.
They were 3 sisters from rural Vermont, and their grandmother on their father's side fancied herself a psychic and predicted that the girls in the family were going to be the thing that lifted the family out of poverty.
Right.
And so their father decided that the way that they were going to do that was they were going to form a rock band and record an album and become world famous.
Right.
And he pulled them all out of high school and forced them to become a rock band. They were probably the worst rock band of all time.
Yeah.
But they did record an album which is now a cult classic.
Right.
And in 1980, they were named Comeback Band of the Year. Two of the sisters are still alive, and both of them still live very near their little tiny town in rural New Hampshire still.
Right. Interesting piece.
So
huh?
it's a very intriguing piece.
Yeah.
Stevens plays the father, who's sort of a cross between Mama Rose
Yeah.
and King
Gypsy.
Lear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that.
Get to do that on the same night. So it's a real adventure.
He's done King Lear a couple times already, so he's got some experience.
By the way, that is something I just got to say, because I really admire your work. I really do. I would like to see a Shakespearean piece with him. I would.
Well,
you'll get a chance later this season.
Oh,
we aren't doing a full Shakespeare season. During our first year of performances, we brought a really wonderful colleague of mine named Dan Hodge up from Philadelphia. He did a one-man version of Shakespeare's poem, The Rape of Lucrece, which was hugely popular. It's really difficult for us to do a full Shakespeare because there are so many people and it's so gigantic and we just can't afford it.
Yeah.
But you probably have seen Roxanne Fay appear at our theater before.
Yeah.
She's done several of our main stage shows, and then she's done several solo shows. In August, we're going to do a 2-weekend run where the two of us are alternating nights. I'm doing a one-man show called Shylock about the Shakespearean character from The Merchant of Venice. And she's doing a one-woman show that she created during a fellowship at Hawthorne Castle in Scotland, all about the historical woman who Shakespeare based Lady Macbeth on.
Right.
So we're going to do those on alternate nights.
That is
and probably marathons on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'll do the afternoon, she'll do the evening.
Right. Oh, that's what a wonderful thing. That's exciting. Well, why don't we do that now that we started down this path? Let's look at the season.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Well, we have
the Shags.
We have the Shags is coming, and then after that, we're doing another world premiere of a play called Better. It is a show by Michelle Carter, who we previously did a show with, which was not a world premiere.
Yeah,
but this is
that was a show that we did 2 seasons ago called How to Pray.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that one, Jim, but that was the one in which I played a dog, a cat, a 90-year-old cancer patient, and a karaoke singing pre-op transsexual.
I'm sorry, I have to look at the camera. Now you know why you must go to the Main Street Theater.
You never know what Stephen's going to be playing.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other thing, and it's grounded, again, it takes strength of will and character, and that, bless you both have. Because what's that's done for the west side of Catskill as an anchor over there. Now they're talking about other activities. Cultivate Catskill's getting involved with some gardens and what you've done there with that theater is just absolutely remarkable.
We were sort of required to do that, because we got this big grant from New York State. To it was called the Main Street Downtown Anchor Project, and it was money given to a single building. In an area that would become an anchor for the community.
Right, because it needed
what's happened.
No, and it needed development, and it's coming. Isn't it wonderful to see that your plan actually did not only have merit, but it really works, and it's getting to be a very exciting time.
It is. Yeah.
Well, we're thrilled that we have Lumberyard as our neighbors right across the creek now.
Right.
They're starting they're having their first big summer season coming.
I saw that. But again, I don't want to give it too much credit, but you have to start somewhere. Bridge Street Theater was the start. That facility was perfect for Lumberyard, but I mean, they have to have some reason to be drawn. And I think this is what really acts as that enticement to build and come and start something.
We have had people who have come to our shows in particular and who have moved to the area and said, one of the things that really sold them on Catskill was the fact that there was a live theater and that there was a secondhand bookstore.
Yeah. And
they were thrilled. They said, okay, this is the place for us.
You know, it's funny you said it, because I was just at the opera a couple of weeks ago. My wife and I were in New York.
Yeah.
And we're having breakfast at the hotel. And there's a couple sitting next to us, and the woman turns around, who are you? You know, we start talking. And they're from Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And they said they had to come back to New York. They were so culturally deprived in their minds. There just wasn't anything going on. We can't be here anymore. So they came to the city. They're originally from the city. That's part of the draw that you back. But again, that cultural enrichment, it is so terribly important. When you're going to decide where to live and how you're going to live, you need that enrichment.
Right, yeah. Well, and we're fortunate to be close enough to the city that, you know, we cast in the city. We have
The
auditions in the
pathways back
city.
and forth are
And,
ideal.
you know, in this show, 4 of the actors are from New York City, and so, you know, we're close enough that we can grab real talent.
Yeah.
And people are willing to come up to Catskill. Part of it is a little bit of time in the country, you know.
I think so too. No, breather, respite from the city.
Get out of the city. Get out of the city. Right?
No, it really is. Let's go back. I want to go back for a second, because I just, my head's finally exploded with the shags. Could we revisit that? Tell me again the sources, right? Because I really wasn't paying attention. You know, I was caught up with the play itself. Tell me that source again.
Well, again, this is a true story.
True story.
It's based on true events. This was all happened in a little town called Fremont, New Hampshire.
Right.
Which we just visited not too long ago. We'd gone up to Acadia National Park.
Oh, you did?
In
Okay.
Maine. And on our way back, just took like a 15-minute detour off and went to the Fremont Town Hall, where these girls used to perform every Saturday night.
Right.
I got to stand on the same stage where they performed.
That's
great.
That's
great.
It was wonderful. But the reason they pretty much came back into prominence was in 1999. Susan Orleans, who wrote The Orchid Thief and several other things, did a huge article on them.
Oh,
And
okay.
on
So
their story in the New Yorker magazine.
Right, okay.
And
So I kind of
that
brought
really
it back
sort of
to mind.
revived interest in them. That's where Joy and Gunnar first, the people who wrote this musical, first heard about them.
Yeah.
And they were fascinated by the story and got together to write.
It's a remarkable story.
Okay, yeah, it is. And the latest word is there's going to be a movie based on the
Oh,
musical.
they are going to do. Okay.
And Gunnar and Joy are involved in creating the score
this also.
and the
that'd be terrific.
The other big deal for us in this, in terms of the community, our involvement in the community, is 5 of the 8 actors in this play are Catskill High School students.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, which is great. Well, it's going to be really, really intriguing, because we have these high school kids in the play who are actually being played by high school kids.
Which is not the case in the original production in LA, of course.
Right.
Yeah. And then it was done after LA, it was done in Chicago, and then it went to New York and was done at Playwrights Horizons in New York.
Oh, okay.
So it's had some history.
But this is the first production it's had since the
New York.
off-Broadway.
Oh, okay. All right. So now I just have to, because we got to go back to the source. Okay. What you do is so interesting. And you know, we should talk about some of the other things too, besides play, like the cabaret with
Flo Hale.
Flo Hale. But you've done some other pieces in that cabaret thing. You talk about belly dancing before.
Yes, right.
Tell us about some of those other activities
Absolutely.
that you do.
Yeah, we've got a whole list of stuff. We do magic, we do dance, we do. Last year we actually Lumberyard was resident.
Yes,
in the theater
that's right, because they weren't ready yet.
They weren't ready yet,
yeah.
so they were in the theater. So they did a show there, which is great. I moved in the big tech, it was incredible. But yes, Francesca Avani, who's a belly dancer and an amazing entrepreneur, actually, has brought. They have workshops in Catskill, and in conjunction with the workshop, they've been doing performances at the theater. So this is the 3rd year that they will be doing a big performance, and we bring in like 30 women, actually one guy last year, who do programs. They're like 15 different acts in the evening, and so it's that's been amazing.
Wonderful.
It's wonderful. And that's June 22nd this year, and it always sells out.
Always sells out.
Yeah.
Well, that's really funny. I found that if you want to go to Bridge Street Theater, you really have to plan, because you could get shut out. We got close a couple times. Tell us about the theater. I do want people to know, you should know, if you haven't been there, you have to go. You must go to Bridge Street Theater.
I agree.
But the theater is so extraordinary in my mind. How many seats?
84.
All right, now you
Very,
designed...
very small, very intimate.
Well, we bought this building. It was, for a long time, it was a beer distribution facility in the mid-1900s, and then it became the Kurtron factory.
That's
Kurtrons
right.
are those vinyl strips that go in
For
freezer
food
doors.
lockers, free lockers.
So for 25 years, it was the place where all Kurtrons nationwide were manufactured. So that was, and then it became a book depository basically for several years, and it was abandoned for.
And we would have
it was
lost
on the
that
market for
building.
like 3 years. or
Yeah, we
something.
would have lost that building eventually.
Absolutely, yeah. So we kept going by it, looking at the the sign that said "call," here, for sale, and we finally said, let's call.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, at least look at it. Yeah.
So we did. We went in. Oh my God, this could be the lobby. This could be a storage room.
But see, that's where experience comes in. Your experience in the theater for all those years. You add them, you can see.
Right.
Because
exactly,
otherwise, you're not going to have.
Well,
that
we also got very lucky. We live out on Old Kings Road, about
Right.
6 miles from the village, and about a mile and a half from us. People kept telling us, "Oh, well, if you're going to start a theater, do you know Carol Allen?" I said, "No." And this woman lived about a mile and a half from us out on Jurassic Park Road.
Yeah.
And she was a semi-retired theatrical design consultant, and she basically came in
that's ridiculous.
and did all of our plans and everything completely pro bono.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just total serendipity.
Because that theater is to die for.
It's so comfy.
It is. I do feel like we have some, there's some good fortune happening in this whole project. I mean, in many, many ways. Just today, we were driving here.
Yeah.
We went by the theater. Next to the theater, people were pulling this big sofa out of a building and looked like they couldn't quite figure out how to get it on the truck. So we said, wow, that could be perfect for the Moors. And so we went to the post office, we had to deliver something, and circled back to the theater. And we said, what's happening with the sofa? You can have it.
It's yours.
So we picked it up, carted it down the street, stuck it in the back, and then we had this,
Walk down the road.
And you got it.
so now we have this amazing
Yeah.
sofa. So these things keep happening to us like this,
But the theater is absolutely exceptional.
Yeah,
it really
well,
is.
it's perfect for me. It's a good size for me.
Right.
I also do the design. I direct a lot of the shows.
Right.
And then design and do the sets and lights mostly for the shows.
Right.
Well, it is.
For me, it's a perfect size.
It is. It's a wonderful size for the kind of theater that we love to do. We like theater that's really literate, but that's really accessible.
Yes.
We love doing plays that really are about the interaction between characters and about really complex, messed up people.
Like real life.
Like real life. I mean, people
life,
who do horrible things and people who do wonderful things for one another, and who
they're both
really make
compelling.
that connection.
Yeah.
But we also love things that are theatrical, and have a certain sense of style to them,
Right. But what I like is the intimacy.
And the intimacy.
When you're there, third or fourth row, it's just like being in the first row.
You're right there.
I mean, you're right in it, and I think that's fantastic.
The sight lines are great in there. The acoustics are great. There isn't a bad, everybody says that, but there isn't a bad seat in the house.
There isn't. Now, here's what we should do. You want to just read through the schedule one time to give them that?
There's one we haven't mentioned yet, and since Flo is directing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Our final show of the season, we're doing 2 world premieres. We're doing this musical. We're doing this strange postmodern mashup. We thought, okay, let's close with an American classic. And this is from 1965. It won all the awards in New York when it happened, but it hasn't been done much recently. It's a play by Frank D. Gilroy called The Subject Was Roses.
Yes.
About a young man who comes home from World War II, comes home from the war and finds himself in the middle of a war between his parents, who both want him as an ally on their side.
Yeah.
So.
And
Very powerful.
Stephen was actually in a production of this
way back.
Played the kid.
Way back. The subject was Rosa, and Flo is going to direct.
And Flo is directing.
And Flo's directing that.
And what's that date?
And that is October 17th through 27th.
Yeah, so we have
So we did the letters already. That's finished.
Right.
May 30th through June 9th is the Moors.
Right.
July 11th through 21st is the musical The Shags Floss Through the World.
I got to see that.
And then the world premiere of Better is September 12th through 22nd.
Great.
It's a really intriguing play. Again, like Michelle Carter, his previous play, she takes a rather catastrophic event and makes a comedy out of it.
Right. Well, again, real life. We're talking about real life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very intense, very
she
powerful.
deals with really, really serious subject in such a quirky and light-handed way that the audience really gets drawn in. And she's such wonderful characters.
Well, the other thing I have to say is this year, for the first time, we have more women involved in the administrative and directorial area, and also in terms of playwrights. We've got 4 women playwrights.
No, three women playwrights, 2 male playwrights,
and 3 women directors.
Right.
And and lots of women, in the cast.
Lots of female roles.
Yeah.
So we've got some female energy going on, which really we
think
That's important for us.
I do have to give you my prejudice. There is no finer actor in our area. Stephen Patterson. He didn't pay me, by the way. He didn't pay me. It's okay.
Well, maybe a little.
Bridge Street Theater, John Sowle.
Yeah.
Stephen Patterson, I remember.
Okay.
But we're going to be back in just a little bit. Who's going to visit with her?
Tracy Liz Miller.
And she's the director of the Moors.
Look at the camera, tell me.
Oh, that's the director of the Moors.
Yeah, okay. Now,
Tracy Miller.
Who's going to visit with her when we come back?
You are.
Probably me, because
All right,
I'm the designer for it.
All right. Remember, Hometown Spotlight, Jim Riley, John Sowle, Stephen Patterson, Bridge Street Theater. We love Bridge Street Theater.
Okay.
Come on back after a few messages.
Customer service is a big deal to us, so it doesn't have to be a big deal for you. For 47 years, you've allowed us into your homes, so we can provide service and support no matter the time of day or conditions outside. You've supported us all these years, and we're proud to support our local community, because in the end, it's your satisfaction that matters most.
Well, welcome back. Jim Riley, Hometown Spotlight. I have to remember which show we're doing. Hometown Spotlight, John Sowle and Tracy Liz
Miller.
I knew I'd get that wrong. Stephen's laughing over. He do. Tracy Liz Miller. John, tell us about Tracy.
Tracy came into our lives unexpectedly, I would say. Reappeared. Yeah. She actually had been around. I mean, we'd seen her before. We knew her, and Stephen knew her from before. But we and worked with her husband before, so she had a history with our family here. But we were doing this play called The Moors by Jen Silverman, and Ms. Miller here said, "Oh my God, is there any chance I could direct this play?" And given her resume, which I'll let her go into, we decided, yes, this would probably be a very good thing to have at the theater. A very good person to have at the theater.
So fortunate. I did. I pretty much put myself in front of him and went, me, please, because I'm so in love with this play.
That's the only way to go, is to have somebody who has that passion. Okay. You're going to give us our name again, your name, and you're going to give us your background, and then you're going to talk about the Moors with us, okay?
Okay,
all right.
Sounds great.
You're on.
I am Tracy Liz Miller, and I am a newly relocated resident of Pawling, New York.
Right.
Before relocating here, we were in Arizona for 5 years, where I founded a theater company, did a lot of directing, and did a lot of teaching of theater and higher education, and became an advocate for theater artists. And before that, we were based out of New York City. I was there for 17 years as a freelance actor, director, producer, administrator, educator. Yeah, all the theater making has been happening. And so my husband and I, when he took this position in Pawling, New York, we knew that we would have to do our best to put ourselves in front of the theater artists that we've been keeping in touch with and admiring from afar, such as social media and whatnot.
Sure.
And years ago, I think, God, 5, 6 years ago, when John and Stephen had just bought the building at Bridge Street, we came on over, brought our 2-year-old at the time, and toured the big empty space that they had great plans for. And I can't tell you how exciting it's been to watch. I mean, we haven't been able to visit them, but see through, websites and social media, the incredible place that they have developed there.
It is marvelous.
With the marvelous programming.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, we're like, oh, I would love to see that. I would love to see, oh, I want to do that play. I want to see that play. I want to be in that play. Like, all of the work that they do is so exciting for theater artists to be a part of.
For sure. All right, now you're going to tell us about the Moors. Is it the Moors?
Yes, the Moors. Jen Silverman is a terrific playwright. She's getting a lot of productions now with some of her plays, in particular The Moors, and then The Roommate is being done. I think Shadowlands Theater is doing The Roommate this summer.
Okay.
And she has got a terrific knack for comedy and creating in this play. It's bringing the genre of the Victorian literature on the English moors, sort of mysteriousness, as well as other familiar storyline tropes such as the damsel in distress or the governess that shows up and is expected to fix everyone's lives, and the romance and the drama of it all. And she has created this terrific comedy that plays with all of those storylines that we so recognize, and yet she completely blows it apart, which is terrific.
And the mysterious master who's up somewhere behind a brick wall.
Yes. Which is like Edgar Allan Poe bringing in there. That's all these dark literature forms. She puts them all together in this terrific dark comedy.
Wonderful. Let me ask you this, 'cause the perspective of being a director, when you get involved in a piece like this, what is it that you're expressing of yourself, or what are you bringing to this that makes it magic for you and the audience?
I mean, in this particular play, and I read a previous version of it while it was in development years ago, I immediately identified with absolutely loving the stories that she's pulling into it, the Victorian literature, the Edgar Allan Poe, the Alfred Hitchcock, all of that drama. I went through an entire phase in my late teens, early 20s of reading all the Bronte, all of the Austen, right? I just soaked it up and loved it. And so now what I'm able to bring is recognizing the deliciousness of those stories and what she has done in a terrific sense of comedy, which I mean, we're laughing our way through our rehearsals, which is such a delight.
Tracy has an incredible sense of humor, and she's so alive in the rehearsal room.
And you can even feel it here. You can even feel it here with the energy, which I think is so important. Don't you? Just
absolutely.
That energy.
And to find terrific local theater founded by wonderful people that are bringing these stories. It's just, again, like as a director, how can I not want to dive in and work on this?
How do you work?
And I'm doing the sets and lights for it. So, and that's great fun too, to figure out how to, go from this drawing room into the moors and back again,
Well, see, that's what I like, is that directing is one vision.
Yeah.
And then the set design is really another vision of the same piece. It's really kind of interesting how that comes together.
Yeah.
And John has such great ideas, and we're just already beginning the we've begun the collaboration process, and we're continuing in such a way that we could do this, maybe we could do this. It's so much fun.
Now, Pauling is not Catskill, so how do you work out your schedule?
I am currently making the commute willingly, happily,
right.
And then we'll be staying nearby Saugerties during the busy tech week.
When you really get tightened up and have to.
Yes, when we'll be pulling longer hours, and the idea of driving an hour back, it just won't be appealing.
That's not going to attract.
But my other job, one of my other jobs, is also a mom. So she's still in school, and I'm getting her to the school bus in the mornings, and then my husband's getting her to bed at night. So it's all working out perfectly.
Everybody has their duties as assigned.
Totally.
As designed. Tell us now, you started the rehearsals?
Yes.
Just give an idea what a day is like in rehearsals for a piece like this.
Well, in this case, because it's a small cast, and a play.
Big for us, though.
Yes, it's true.
It's six people, which is
it's funny because it's one and the same. It's big and small at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
We called together a terrific cast. I mean, they're genius. They know. They have a sense of the comedy and the delight of the story, and they have already begun. They came in with a lot of ideas, but we did our first read through, which was so much fun to get all the voices in the room. And then yesterday we started blocking, and it is a quick pace in the rehearsal process, but with John's genius set design, we'll be able to pull it off because the transitions will work so well.
One of the things about the theater is we really don't have a rehearsal room.
No.
So so we just build the set, before as much of the set as we can before the rehearsals start.
Yeah.
So you're doing the blocking on the actual objects that you're going to be using in the show. So it saves a lot of time. There's
the questions are answered.
If you're at the Met, you're not doing that. You're rehearsing in a big room, and then to actually transfer it. Oh well, that didn't work because there's this big thing in the way. So we have to now completely reblock everything. It does help to have everything in place. Pretty much.
It does. And the actors are able to envision it specifically, which saves a lot of time.
A little thing. Stephen hadn't heard this before, but we have this sideboard here, which there was a little door that. It didn't close. Then, it keeps opening, closing, and then it pops open. And we said, we have to fix this. We have to fix this. Well, the first rehearsal when they were blocking, Molly Parker Myers, who's this genius, came over and she kept closing the door, and then it would open and closing the door. Yeah. So it becomes this comic bit.
Right.
I'm like, oh no.
I said, I guess we're not fixing the door.
No, it's so great.
That is interesting because when you look at that, that's creativity. That's what I do have to ask you this as a director. Years ago, I rode on a train with a guy by the name of John Madden. I don't know if you ever heard of John Madden. He was an NFL football coach.
He's sporting, right?
His rings, Super Bowl rings, is so big. He's a big man.
Yeah.
And they still look big. And I asked him this very basic question. I said, John, football isn't a mystery. I mean, you people know football. So is it really a matter of managing huge, gigantic egos? I said, yes, that's all it is. It's trying to get all these people to go in the same direction at the same time for the same reason. Is that what it's like? I mean, how do you deal with people? They have their own egos. So how do you do it without impinging on or is that those things happen as you're doing that?
Right. Well, I have to say that one of the things I feel that I'm good at doing as a director in casting, and I think John and Stephen have the same ideas as well, is that we want to find people that we want to be in the room with. Yeah. For a long periods
time,
in creating and so do they immediately respond to the script and love it as passionately as we did? And that I saw evident in all of the actors we cast. Certainly they understand the needs and flexibilities of a creative process because as an example, Molly Parker Myers has been working with Bridge Street now. How many shows has she done?
Well, even before that, when we were Caluga Art, she's been with us forever.
So,
so she understands
the process and how it is to work in this particular environment, which is the bonuses of having the set outweigh some of the other challenges that we have to figure it out. And so I look for people that you can just kind of tell in your gut. Are they nice people? Yeah. And then are they also talented and do they love it? Yeah. And if they love it, then you pretty much have figured out a lot of those ego issues off the bat.
You kind of get that straightened out. Then you can just go and do the work.
And have a blast.
And I have to say, this particular piece, when we put up a casting notice in New York City, we had 700 people submit.
Yeah. No, that's
and almost all women who would be, wanting to do this particular play.
Right. Because as they look at it, they look at whether they're interested in that piece or not. That helps eliminate a whole.
Sure. Right.
I mean, for contemporary work, some of the stuff that's surfacing right now is so exciting. In that it's allowing for different kinds of people, particularly women, to be the funny ones, to be the outrageous ones, to be the ones that go bonkers on stage, and we want to watch that. Yeah. And I do a lot of Shakespeare as an actor and director, whereas the crazy ones are almost always the men or the ones who are doing who are the actors.
Look at Steve off stage. Steve Patterson is smiling.
So they're the ones who are driving the storyline. And in this
Yeah.
case, it was a contemporary comedy, but set in a time period. So it's a period piece.
Right.
And those driving the action are the women, which is so exciting. So I think that's a key to the response to why 700 women were like, please me, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Let me come up and do this play.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, now let me try this because I've known Steve forever and I got his name.
Okay,
wrong.
fine.
Tracy Liz Miller.
You got it.
I almost went
Perfect.
late. Tracy Liz Miller, director of the Moors.
Yes.
Look at the camera. Tell them why they should come see this play and when it is.
Well, the exact dates, we have a preview performance, correct? We
Yes,
start
on
with
the May 30th.
May 30th is a pay what you are able to.
Pay what you will.
Pay what you
Pay
will.
Yeah,
you
which is a
will.
preview of the event.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and that is so important. I think that those who may struggle with ticket prices, this is the ideal situation, and we need you as a newly created collaborative ensemble. We need the feedback of the audience, so please come to that. If ticket prices are a challenge, come to that one and give us what you feel in the moment as an audience member.
You do encourage that, right? The feedback.
It's
You
so helpful.
really
Feedback
want
is great.
that.
Absolutely.
So helpful. And
Well,
then
especially in a comedy, it's really important.
Yeah.
There's a point in rehearsal. We need an audience.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm laughing as hard as I can, but sometimes, we need other people to be laughing. But we run the show through June 9th, and it has...
It's Thursday through Sundays.
Right.
That Sunday, the first Sunday, is also pay what you will. So
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nice.
So for matinee, for people who don't want to go out at night,
Right.
that's the time to come to that if you're financially challenged. And then another weekend, Thursday through Sunday. So it's just 2 weekends, 8 performances. So not that many
Again,
chances.
I want to look at the camera for a second. Please understand that you really need to go here. This is for you. A lot of times people don't understand, like the theater is something new to them. They think it's really not for them, it's for somebody else. It isn't for somebody else, it is for you. Those preview dates and the pay as you can or pay as you will. What a wonderful opportunity to be introduced to theater if you don't have experience
Right.
with the theater.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah,
I think it's
absolutely,
just
yeah.
a fabulous idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
Director, Tracy Liz Miller.
Tracy Liz
Yeah.
Miller.
The Moors. Look at it. Cheer 'em.
Moors by Jen Silverman, directed by me.
Yeah,
Produced
and
by
sets and design.
Sets and design, as well
As
as
producing. And
producing and making it all
producing.
happen at Bridge Street Theater.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And
All right,
go to bridgestreettheater.org.
Right.
That's the website. Our tickets are at brownpapertickets.com. You can look for the Moors, and you can find it there and order your tickets in advance for that.
I would recommend that as well. I found my experience in being at the theater, you really might get caught trapped in not being able to attend. So I go brown paper
tickets.
tickets.
Brown paper tickets, not brown paper bag. Everybody says
Brown
brown paper
paper
bag.
ticket.
No,
Brown paper
brownpapertickets.com and look for the Moors.
Or
and you'll
stop
find
on by and just buy directly there because
Yeah.
it. No, we don't do that.
Oh, you don't? No, that was good. Don't come.
Don't come.
No,
Don't
don't come.
physically
Come,
into
you can
them.
come to the door. If we have tickets for you, then the tickets are $25 at the door. We try to keep our ticket prices low. It's
They're-
nothing like New York. You
they're
don't have
very
to,
they're
you don't have
very
to sell the
reasonable.
farm to
Absolutely.
come
Right.
to see a show, even
Love
if you're
that.
not at pay what you will. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Hometown Spotlight, I'm Jim Riley. I want to thank all of our guests today. Stephen Hoare, publisher of Black Dome Press, and our friends, very dear friends at Bridge Street Theater, John Sowle, Steve Patterson. I don't know why, I got some good friends. And Tracy Liz Miller, director of The Moors. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you
We
so much for
appreciate it.
inviting us, Jim. I really
Great.
appreciate it.
And we look forward to seeing you again real soon on Hometown Spotlight.